All right. Here we go. Let's flip this back over. All right. Welcome back to another CRE Pro Coffee with Closers. I think we've got Dan joining us here, but we'll have to see. He might be up crushing a deal right now. I'm not sure. Anyways, I wanted to just do a brief update. So I've been getting a lot of inquiries. We've been getting a lot of emails coming in, questions, always open to answer any question. But one of the questions that we get most often, particularly from agents that are moving from residential to commercial, is what does deal flow look like? Like, how does it different than what I've been used to in residential? And what sort of pitfalls can I avoid? What kind of value can I provide to my clients? How does it differ? What is the process different? And how does that work? So I just thought I'd outline or detail fairly quickly what that process looks like for us, how we manage a pipeline. And of course, all of this is in the CRE Pro course. And Dan and I cover it extensively, but I thought I'd just outline the basic points here, basic tenets here. So typically and we've talked about this before in the CRE Pro course, Coffee with Closers, is there are a few different types of agents, right? Some are very hungry. They're out there getting listings. They enjoy working mostly with listing properties. As we say, the broker who lists lasts. That's a tongue twister. And through that, we find that there's some agents that really love brokers that love to be out on the hunt. Right? They're out there. They're trying to get new business. They are constantly working their network. They're showing up to social functions. They're asking people they know that own property. Look, are you interested in selling? Here's what I think you can get for it. As we offer in the CRE Pro course, we have an actual template that will allow you to offer a no obligation free value proposal. And so what you can show to somebody is, hey, look, at this current moment, based on my knowledge of the market, and I'm a specialist in this, here is the price that I would list this property at for you. And here's where we could see it fall anywhere in this range. Now, that's based typically on comps. It's also based on the highest and best use. So if you're coming to an owner of a property and it's currently being used as, I don't know, parking, let's say, and it's in a high trafficked area, well, maybe that's better used by a developer to develop a retail center. So in this case, you're selling it for the intended use, or what you perceive to be the intended use. In order to do that, you have to get the listing. In order to get the listing, you need to go on a listing presentation. We have all of this inside of the CRE Pro course. We actually have, as you may know, an actual template of how to what you should bring to a listing presentation. And in theory, if you are the best, or you provide, in a lot of cases, the most understanding of your client, as well as people are money motivated. So if you can, can't guarantee, but if you can commit to selling someone's property for the highest dollar value, and that's what they're looking for at the time, then you might win the listing. So once you have the listing, then we're talking about marketing. Now we're spinning that around, right? So now you have the listing, you have a set period of time, you have an actual listing agreement, right? We want to make sure we get that listing agreement. Your time, your energy, effort, your commitment, your specialty is all valuable. So make sure that you have that listing agreement in place. You want the longest listing period possible. So typically it's 6 to 12 months, particularly on a commercial property. It depends on how difficult it's going to be to sell. If it's in a hot market and hot area, it's very easy to sell. Let's say land or something like that. Has no environmental issues, is just a straight sale, probably pretty frictionless. And we could imagine maybe a 3-month close. So you should be able to have, I would plan for 6 months, let's say, on a listing agreement, 3 to 6 months on a listing agreement on the short side. Probably on the long side, we're looking a little bit longer. I would say somewhere in the year range. If it's a large development, that's pretty typical. So now you have the listing agreement in hand. Now what's next? Well, now we need to start marketing the property. To do that, it depends on where you are. If you're senior broker, junior broker, you're just getting into the industry, you've been there for a while. It depends on how much support staff you have, what kind of processes you have in place. In general, we're looking to list this either internally, like in a distribution network. Please reach out if you have any questions about what that is, or how you can form that, or where ours are, what we do for that. Or you're going to list it on something like CoStar, for example. So we have a whole module inside the course that covers exactly how to list a property inside of CoStar, then how to database that property, and then how to use that database in order to create more sales, buy more properties, or help more clients. So now we're on to the marketing of the property. Now you're starting to generate some interest, right? People know it's for sale. What you have now, you've gathered all that information, or you've had your team gather that information, put together an offering memorandum. In a lot of cases, 10 to 15 pages, everything about the demographics, the MSA, the property itself. If there are tenants, it's got the rent roll. I often suggest not offering this initially on the listing. If you post it, for example, you don't want to include all this information. You want people to reach out to you to inquire more. So you want to pique the interest without you want to, again, you want to show the cow, sell the milk. I guess that's a bad analogy. So here's the thing. So now we've got the listing agreement, we've got the marketing going, and now we're starting to get inbound calls. Now you're going to learn a lot through this process and the inbound calls, but I often tell people it's not that not only that you're spending a lot less time in commercial brokerage than maybe another field, but it is very important that you're prepared for those calls, that you're prepared for those meetings. So in this case, you want to make sure you know everything there is to know about the property. What are the comps around it? What have things selling for? But what have they sold for recently? What are they listed for? What other properties are people looking at in your same area? If it's an income producing property, what are the cap rates on it? If there are tax advantages to it, if it's in an opportunity zone, there are a lot of factors that you need to know about your property. We have a full list. If you want to send an email, or you find it inside of the course, be happy to send that to you. It's a checklist of all the things that you should be checking on, or you should be looking into in due diligence, in order to make sure that you have all your bases covered. Past that, now you're getting into negotiations. Again, we have a section in the course on negotiations. And we just go through exactly what that means, right? We often say that there are everybody's coming to the table for a certain reason, right? So a buyer wants to buy a property, seller wants to sell, or they wouldn't be listing and they wouldn't be actively trying to buy. Some may want a better deal, but that's not to say that you can't. A person does not walk onto the lot lest they want to buy. So everybody's trying to get a deal done. So as we move past the marketing section, we go into the actual negotiation section. Now you're talking about contracts. There are a few different types. So here in Texas, we have promulgated forms that are mostly used in residential. Then if it's land, because it's a pretty easy, quick sale, is straight line forward. No lawyers are necessary. Now, if you start getting a little more complicated, that's where we start to bring in an individualized contract. So there's not a standardized commercial template for a letter of intent. So that's the first section, right? So the commercial differs from residential in the fact that they typically a letter of intent is issued, which is like, here are what we're agreeing to today. If these terms are agreeable, and we can do a sort of quick and dirty analysis on this, and it looks good for now, we will actually invest time, energy, effort, money, lawyers and so on into actually building out a full contract, because at this point we're starting to talk about some very highly specific nuances. So now we move past the letter of intent, and now we're on to the contract. So if you're listing the property, you're receiving the contracts, you want to review the contracts, obviously. Make sure you understand the contracts, the offer, and then explain it to your client. And they're going to want to do their analysis as well. So we're all the way through from listing all the way through to now we're under contract, and we'll shoot another video of what that means from there, what obligation you have as an agent, as a broker in commercial real estate, in order to make sure that your client feels secure and that they continue to use you for years on end. Hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, please hit me in the DM. All right, thanks.